Good morning, everyone, and thank you for tuning in today. If you need help keeping track, today is Monday, September the 14th. And with us today, we always have a wonderful guest. With us is Congressman Greg Pence. How are you today, sir?
Good morning, Jody. Thanks for having me. I'm calling today from Washington, D.C. I came out here last night. I'll be out here most of the week.
Very good. Do you have several committee meetings this week?
I do. I have a Foreign Affairs Committee, and then we have a series of bills, and I'm kind of looking at the list here. There's probably, 30, 24, 25, 26, 31, 32, 33 bills that we are going to be voting on this week.
That is a lot of work. Now, definitely, we heard in the news last week that we probably won't hear anything about a possible stimulus at least till November. Is that the word in Washington as well?
Well, I'm more optimistic my glass is always half full, Jody. I'm hopeful that there's too many people that need some help. I think that the COVID liability protection, as I've said over and over, that affects states, cities, counties, hospitals, schools, businesses, non-for-profits. So I think we've got to come to some resolution on that, and maybe helping the businesses that are just still really suffering, and of course the individuals as well. The people, if the businesses can't hire them back, we kind of need to make sure that folks aren't completely left without any help. So I'm optimistic that we're going to figure something out between now and the end of September. And the reason I say the end of September, we're actually in session all this September, and then we have the October break. So let's hope for the next 3 weeks we can kind of get something done. Unfortunately, the bills that we're looking at this week don't include any type of CARES relief or health or protection for businesses or individuals. So maybe something will pop up next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that everyone is probably waiting just to hear that information. Of course, it's budget time of the year for not-for-profits and cities and schools and counties. And so I think there probably are several in the area that are stressing, hoping that possibly there will be more to come with the CARES Act. Now, one thing you did announce is that the state has received a lot of money for funding to battle the opioid crisis, which has become even more prevalent throughout the pandemic.
Right, almost $29 million, and this was an effort on the part of both me, all of the delegation here in Indiana, and we were able to get that. It's a 2-year grant to help. You know, one of the things that I like to remind folks of, the opioid crisis existed before COVID, but unfortunately, talking to health professionals and CEOs of hospitals out in the district, it's gone up since people have been impacted financially, as well as been locked in their homes, and the mental health issue is a real problem. So I think this was a great thing to happen at this time, and proud to be part of it.
Absolutely. And the intention of this is for prevention and treatment. Is that correct?
Yes.
Very good. Yes. I haven't heard statistics whether or not, has the drug epidemic increased because people are stressed and anxiety. Is it because of financial reasons? Is it because they're just bored? But overall, yes, all organizations are reporting, unfortunately, that numbers are up across the state and across the nation.
Yeah.
So lots of funding stuff going on for you to announce this month. You've also announced some projects where you're funding money for the Columbus Airport.
Well, yeah, over in Columbus, Indiana, kind of to the straight west of you there, we got $500,000 for a church that is on the National Register of Historical building, and we were able to get money to help fix that steeple, the clock bell, And then also $3 million for the Columbus Municipal Airport infrastructure. Believe it or not, Columbus Municipal Airport has an awful lot of military for Camp Atterbury over there. So making sure that that airport is up to speed helps the military as the troops come in and train on weekends and all through the summer. So proud to get those. Those were direct letters from me, as well as, and unfortunately, I haven't got anything for your neck of the woods today, but we did get $22.5 million for I-70, adding an extra lane and have 3 lanes over by Mount Comfort, and that's something I'm on the Transportation Infrastructure Committee, and we'll keep working on getting funds for our interstates, 74, 70, and I-65 as best we can. But those, you got to fight for those dollars, and I'll keep fighting for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything you can tell us in the works for the southeastern Indiana region?
No, not at the moment. We'll go into appropriations and budgets here, both in Congress between now and the end of the year. I'm not very optimistic that we'll have anything new at this time. It'll be what they call a CR, or continuing resolution. So things will just get pushed to next year because this is a political year. That's the reality.
We'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll continue speaking with Congressman Greg Pence. And we're back. If you've just tuned in, we are speaking with Congressman Greg Pence today. Well, changing subject, you recently signed a pledge to promise to always support the police and not support defunding the police.
Right. Thanks, Jody. I did, and I also, the Justice Act, I supported that, was a co-sponsor of that. But in the police pledge, and I'll kind of read the last sentence of it, I pledge to stand with American police and pledge to oppose any bill, resolution, or movement to defund the police. That's something, as we've talked about before, I don't really understand the idea behind that. It's certainly not an issue in southern and central Indiana. We live with the police, law enforcement. They know us. We know them. I've said this a couple of times. I have a policeman from Columbus, Indiana, lives 2 doors down from me. Grew up with the sheriff, and that's the way it is in our communities. And so I'm going to stand fast, and I'll stand shoulder to shoulder with law enforcement in Indiana.
Yes, absolutely. Are there any bills coming up that are moving towards the defunding issue?
No, Jody, there's nothing in the works right now. I think that fortunately, fighting that and then this pledge, we kind of put all those folks on notice that if they want to keep moving this forward, that we were going to fight tooth and nail for this. And the bills this week, and there's about 32 bills we're going to do. A lot of them have to do with Strengthened Diversity Act, Equity and Inclusion Enforcement Act, condemning all forms of anti-Asia sentiment. So there's nothing in terms of defunding, and unfortunately there's nothing in terms of the CARES Act or fighting COVID or what's happened to our economy.
Another one of your priorities is, of course, meeting with constituents in the area. I know I've heard several reports that people had seen you or heard that you were in Ripley County recently.
I sure was, yeah. I even took a sign out in front at the Batesville sign as you come into town on 46th there, and that was fun. I actually, that was a beautiful day. Yeah, I get out all the time and visit with as many people as I can. I like to see law enforcement, mayors, council members, chambers, and get out as much as we can. What's interesting is in these COVID times, it's been a little difficult to get groups together because of their concern of, catching the virus. But fortunately, we've made some very safe and masked up stops and visited with folks that can tell us what's going on in the communities.
If there's constituents out there that want to meet with you, how do they do that? How do they go about that?
Yeah. Well, thanks, Jody. Happy to meet with folks or talk to them or get a hold of us. Go to pence.house.gov, and we've got all kinds of information, where the offices are, telephone numbers, and points of contact. Happy to meet with people. If I'm out in D.C., like I will be in the next 3 weeks, we have 4 offices in the district, and they're happy to come and meet or host people to come and see them and talk to us and tell us what's going on.
What do you feel like is still the biggest concern in the region?
Well, I think the economic growth or getting back on our feet there is very important, and then that includes COVID, that includes schools. You know, we've talked about that, getting back to school in a safe way. The concern there is that parents, they want their kids to go back to school, but they also want to be able to go back to their work, and that's a issue I actually hear quite a bit about. So, and the number of employees available, that has improved dramatically in August. So everyone is thankful for that. And I'll tell you, Jody, the job that Hoosiers have done in fighting COVID and behaving, doing the right thing, the distancing, the masking when you're supposed to, our economy is doing much, much better than a lot of other cities and states. And so, you know, we have to pat ourselves on the back for that one, because that, whether we like it or not, it was never an either or. It isn't fight COVID or get our economy back up. It's something we have to do both because of the severe impact that we've all experienced in the shutdowns.
Yeah, definitely has hit everyone. I can't imagine it hasn't hit anyone that's not close to home or close to the vest at this point in some manner. And so with that, it is something good to know that we should all come together with.
Yeah.
Well, we're kind of wrapping things up for the end of our session here. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, thanks for having me.